I was turning 25, expecting at least a small celebration with my family. Instead, they blindsided me with news that shattered my world. They wanted me out of the house immediately. My parents framed it as tough love, but the timing felt deliberately cruel. Our family had a history of financial manipulation, something I had tried to ignore. As a software developer, I had been saving quietly, planning my future. Little did I know this painful moment would become the catalyst for unexpected growth and self-discovery. Before I tell you how I went from homeless on my birthday to fighting my family in court, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from, and hit that subscribe button if you have ever had to stand up to toxic family members. Growing up in suburban Boston shaped much of who I am today. My parents, Richard and Diane, created a middle-class lifestyle that appeared normal from the outside. Dad worked in insurance while Mom managed a small retail store. But beneath this ordinary facade lurked an unhealthy obsession with money and success. Every accomplishment was measured in dollars, every decision scrutinized for financial benefit. My older sister, Amanda, learned early to play their game. 3 years my senior. She mirrored their materialistic values, always positioning herself as the good child who understood family loyalty. Meanwhile, my younger brother Jason, still in college, secretly supported me whenever our parents turned critical, which happened with increasing frequency. Family sticks together was their mantra, but what they really meant was successful family members share resources. When cousin Patrick started his dental practice, the family pressured him to hire relatives and offer free treatments. When Aunt Melissa sold her business, the family suddenly remembered loans they had supposedly given her years earlier. I had been watching this pattern repeat itself throughout my life, so I kept quiet about my recent promotion at Vertex Tech. After 2 years of working 80-hour weeks coding security protocols, I had finally moved up to senior developer with a substantial salary increase. My plan was to save aggressively before announcing any career advancement. The evening of my 25th birthday began with such ordinary deception. Mom had texted asking if I would be home for dinner, mentioning she was making my favorite lasagna. I noticed additional grocery bags when I arrived home from work, spotting the corner of a cake box in the refrigerator. The dining room table had been cleared of. Its usual clutter and proper plates were set instead of the everyday dishes. "Happy birthday, Marco," Mom said when I entered, her voice carrying none of the warmth the words should contain. Dad sat at the head of the table, his reading glasses perched on his nose as he reviewed some document. Amanda sat beside him, scrolling through her phone, but looking up with an expression I now recognize as anticipation. They had planned this moment. "We should eat before discussing anything," Mom announced, bringing the steaming lasagna to the table. The meal proceeded with uncomfortable small talk about weather and neighborhood gossip. The cake never appeared. After plates were cleared, Dad cleared his throat and folded his hands on the table. "Marco, your mother and I have been discussing your situation, and we believe it is time for you to move out. You have 1 week to find alternative arrangements." The words hit like a physical blow. "What?" "Why, now it is my birthday, which makes it the perfect time for a new beginning." Mom interjected smoothly. "You are 25 years old. When I was your age, I already had my own apartment and was paying a mortgage." Amanda nodded vigorously. "You have been comfortable too long. Some independence would be good for you." Their rehearsed speeches continued as I sat stunned. According to them, I was not contributing enough to household expenses. I was secretive about my work. I spent too much time away from family functions. But beneath these complaints lay the real issues. They disapproved of my career choice, considering programming less prestigious than law or medicine. And they especially disapproved of my girlfriend Sophia, whose parents were immigrants from Colombia. "We are doing this because we love you," Mom concluded, patting my hand with practiced sympathy. "Sometimes love means making difficult decisions." That night, I packed frantically while family members periodically checked on my progress as if I might steal something. While grabbing documents from my desk drawer, I discovered several of my bank statements had been moved. They had been monitoring my finances, perhaps discovering my recent salary increase despite my precautions. By midnight, I had loaded my car with essential belongings. The rest would have to wait for another trip. Driving away from the only home I had known since childhood, I felt hollowed out. I parked at an all-night diner, too shocked to form a plan. That first night in my car, curled awkwardly in the reclined driver's seat, was my emotional breaking point. I cried for the first time since high school, grieving not just my housing situation, but the realization that my family viewed me primarily as a resource. The next morning, I called Sophia, terrified of appearing desperate in our still new 6-month relationship. Her immediate response, "Come over now. I will make coffee," still warms me when I remember it. Though her one-bedroom apartment barely fit her own belongings, she cleared a corner for my suitcase without hesitation. At work, my friend Jake found me staring blankly at code I should have been debugging. After hearing my situation, he immediately offered the basement apartment in his house. Previous tenant moved out last week. It needs a paint job, but the timing is perfect. Rent is cheap, and I promise not to throw you out on any birthdays. The following weeks were a blur of shame and adjustment, explaining to coworkers why I needed to take personal calls about apartment applications, dodging questions from extended family about why I had suddenly decided to move out, struggling to focus on work projects while researching rental agreements and tenant rights. My new life began in Jake's basement apartment. The space was small, a converted recreation room with a hastily added shower stall and kitchenette. But it represented something I had never truly experienced: independence. The walls were mine to decorate. The schedule was mine to determine. The visitors were mine to choose. I worked overtime shifts, programming security protocols, saving every extra dollar. When Mom called repeatedly to check in, I let most calls go to voicemail. Our conversations became shorter, focused on practicalities, rather than the emotional manipulation I now recognized in her questions about my finances. Without family obligations consuming my evenings and weekends, I discovered interests I had never explored. I joined a rock climbing gym near work. I took an online course in artificial intelligence. I volunteered teaching coding to high school students. Each new activity connected me with people who appreciated my skills and company without ulterior motives. Sophia and I grew closer through this adversity. She understood toxic family dynamics from her own experience and respected my boundaries without question. Our weekend hikes in the Blue Hills became therapeutic escapes where I could process my changing perspective on family loyalty. 3 months after moving out, I received news that transformed my financial situation completely. Vertex Tech was expanding their cybersecurity division, and my project had been selected as the foundation for their new product line. My promotion to senior developer came with a 40% salary increase and stock options. For the first time, I felt genuine freedom from financial insecurity. Freedom my family had never actually wanted me to achieve. The real estate opportunity arrived unexpectedly through David, a former client who had started a property investment business. "Got a foreclosure listing in Watertown. You might want to see," he texted one Friday. "Good neighborhood, terrible cosmetic condition, priced accordingly. Bank wants it gone." The following Saturday, I toured a 1,930 seconds colonial that had clearly suffered from neglected maintenance and dated renovations. Popcorn ceilings, avocado appliances, and wall-to-wall shag carpeting created a time capsule effect. But beneath these cosmetic issues, the structure was sound. The roof was relatively new. The electrical had been updated. Most importantly, the location was excellent. Walking distance to restaurants and public transportation. Property values in this neighborhood have increased 15% annually for 3 years straight, David explained, as we examined cracked bathroom tiles. With smart renovations, you could build substantial equity quickly. I spent 2 weeks researching comparables, calculating renovation costs, and reviewing my finances. My new salary qualified me for a mortgage that would have been impossible months earlier. Using savings for the down payment would leave enough for initial renovations. The asking price was $30,000 below market value due to the cosmetic issues. The bidding process was nerve-wracking. 2 other investors wanted the property, forcing me to increase my offer twice. When David called to say, "Congratulations, homeowner," I felt a surge of accomplishment untainted by family expectations. The colonial became my evening and weekend project. I pulled up carpet to reveal hardwood floors worthy of restoration. I demolished bathroom tile, while YouTube videos played tutorials on my phone. The local hardware store offered weekend classes on basic plumbing and electrical work, where I learned to replace outdated fixtures. Sophia painted alongside me, her artist eye selecting the perfect warm neutral for the living room. Jake helped install new kitchen cabinets, his experience from previous renovations proving invaluable. Each improvement transformed not just the house, but my confidence in solving problems independently. 6 months of dedicated work doubled the property value. The kitchen now featured maple cabinets and quartz countertops. The bathrooms gleamed with ceramic tile and modern fixtures. The refinished hardwood floors brought warmth to every room. Most importantly, each space reflected my personal taste rather than family expectations. My neighborhood welcomed me with genuine community spirit. Elderly neighbors brought homemade bread when they saw moving boxes. The couple across the street shared their lawnmower until I could purchase one. The local coffee shop owner learned my name after just 2 visits. These connections felt authentic, based on proximity and shared experience rather than obligation. During my first holiday season away from family, I hosted a small gathering with Sophia, Jake, and friends from work. We decorated a modest tree, prepared a potluck dinner, and exchanged thoughtful gifts. The absence of tension and passive-aggressive comments made the celebration genuinely joyful. I was creating new traditions based on mutual respect rather than manipulation. Almost exactly 1 year after being kicked out, the doorbell rang on a Sunday afternoon. Opening the front door revealed the last people I expected, my parents and sister Amanda standing on my newly installed front porch steps. "Marco, we have been trying to reach you for weeks," Mom exclaimed, pushing past me into the foyer without waiting for invitation. Dad and Amanda followed, their eyes widening as they took in the renovated interior. "Wow, look at this place," Dad whistled, running his hand along the refinished banister. "You have been busy, son. We have missed you so much." Mom continued, her voice carrying the syrupy tone I now recognized as her manipulation voice. "The family has not been the same without you at our gatherings." Their sudden appearance, after months of minimal contact, confused me until their true purpose began emerging through carefully crafted questions. "How many square feet is this place? What did you pay for it? Is the mortgage rate good? Have you had it appraised since the renovations?" Amanda wandered through rooms, uninvited, opening closet doors and commenting on fixture choices. "This must have cost a fortune," she remarked, implying I could not have afforded the improvements independently. As we sat in the living room, Mom casually mentioned the family's recent financial difficulties. Dad's insurance company was downsizing. Amanda's husband had medical bills from a minor procedure. Property taxes on the family home had increased substantially. "It is so wonderful to see you doing so well when the rest of us are struggling." Mom concluded, her smile not reaching her eyes. Dad suddenly showed intense interest in my career, asking detailed questions about my company and position, information I had deliberately kept vague in our infrequent phone conversations. "A senior developer at your age must be making 6 figures, he mused, exchanging glances with Mom. "We always knew you were the smart one in the family." Their transparent motives made me uncomfortable, but I answered politely, providing minimal details. When they finally left, 3 hours later, I felt emotionally drained from maintaining boundaries while navigating their probing questions. What I did not anticipate was this visit becoming the first of many. Within weeks, my parents established a pattern of dropping by unannounced. Mom brought containers of food despite my protests that I had already eaten. Dad offered unsolicited renovation advice, later telling me he had helped design my kitchen when speaking to neighbors. Personal items began appearing. Mom forgot her reading glasses. Dad left a favorite coffee mug. Amanda brought toys for her children to play with next time. Each item served as justification for returning without invitation. Soon, Amanda began bringing her children over weekends, announcing they needed a break in my spacious yard. My parents told neighbors they had helped Marco buy the place. A complete fabrication I only discovered when my next-door neighbor commended my parents' generosity. The situation escalated when extended family members began congratulating me on my family investment property during a cousin's wedding. Apparently, my parents had told everyone they had financially contributed to my home purchase as a family asset. My frustration mounted with each boundary violation. Changing the locks only led to hurt accusations about trust. Setting visiting hours resulted in guilt trips about family access. Direct conversations about respecting my space were dismissed as selfishness. The breaking point arrived in the form of a certified letter from Greenfield and Associates, a local law firm. Opening the envelope revealed a formal legal document claiming my parents were entitled to 25% ownership of my property as a family asset based on their substantial contributions and investments. The letter alleged they had provided down payment money false, offered essential renovation assistance, minimal and unrequested, and that we had verbal agreements about shared ownership entirely fabricated. If I refused to sign enclosed ownership transfer documents, they would pursue legal action. Panic overwhelmed me initially. Though I knew their claims were baseless, the thought of battling my own family in court was devastating. Calls from extended family members began immediately. They had already spread their narrative, widely painting me as an ungrateful son attempting to cheat his struggling parents. "How could you do this after everything they have done for you?" my Aunt Martha demanded by phone. "Family property should benefit everyone, not just you." Sophia found me staring at the letter that evening, my hands shaking with anger and betrayal. "This is not normal family behavior, Marco," she said firmly. "You need to fight this." Jake was even more direct when I showed him the document. "Get a lawyer tomorrow. This is attempted theft. Plain and simple." The following morning, I contacted Maria Delgado, a real estate attorney recommended by David. Her office, a converted Victorian in downtown Boston, projected the calm competence I desperately needed. "Unfortunately, I see these family property disputes frequently," Maria explained after reviewing the letter. "The good news is that your documentation appears excellent. The bad news is that emotional family claims often continue, regardless of legal merit." We began gathering evidence methodically. Bank statements showing the down payment came solely from my account. Mortgage documents listing me as the only borrower. Text messages from the day my parents demanded I leave their house. Receipts for renovation materials purchased with my credit cards. Photos documenting my personal labor on improvements. Sophia, who worked in financial compliance, helped organize these documents chronologically, creating a clear timeline that contradicted my family's claims. Jake wrote a formal statement confirming my residence in his basement apartment after being forced out of my parents' home. David provided documentation showing how I had found and purchased the property through his agency without any family involvement. Simultaneously, I began therapy sessions with Dr. Collins, who specialized in family dynamics. She helped me understand the narcissistic patterns that had shaped our family relationships for generations. "Your financial independence threatens their control," she explained, during one particularly insightful session. "The lawsuit is less about the property itself and more about reestablishing their authority over your life." Armed with comprehensive documentation and newfound psychological understanding, I agreed to a meeting with my parents, sister, and both attorneys. The conference room at Maria's office provided neutral territory for this confrontation. My parents appeared shocked when Maria methodically presented our evidence. Their attorney's confident demeanor faltered, as each of their claims was systematically dismantled with documentation. "As you can see," Maria concluded, "not only is there no evidence supporting shared ownership, but we have substantial evidence of deliberate misrepresentation to family members and neighbors regarding my client's property. For the first time in my life, I found my voice against family manipulation." "You kicked me out on my birthday," I stated, looking directly at my parents. "You gave me 1 week to find housing. You provided no financial assistance before, during, or after my home purchase. You have no legal or moral claim to what I have built." My father attempted his standard intimidation tactics, raising his voice about family loyalty and parental sacrifice. My mother turned to tears, her familiar manipulation that had worked throughout my childhood. But something had fundamentally changed. Their emotional weapons could no longer reach me. When their attorney suggested a settlement giving my parents 15% ownership to maintain family harmony, I refused without hesitation. There is no family harmony to maintain when one party attempts to take what they have not earned. Amanda's composure finally broke. "This is so unfair. You make more money than all of us combined, and now you have property appreciation while we struggle with rent increases. Family is supposed to share resources." Maria calmly informed them that should they pursue their baseless claims, we would file a countersuit for harassment and defamation based on their false statements to extended family and neighbors. Watching my parents' expressions as they realized I would not surrender was surprisingly liberating. Their attorney requested a private consultation, after which they withdrew their ownership claims entirely. The following months brought significant changes to my family relationships. My parents attempted to resume normal contact without acknowledging their actions, but I established clear boundaries, scheduled visits only, no discussion of my finances or property, and absolutely no unsupervised access to my home. Sophia and I grew stronger through this challenge, our relationship built on mutual respect and honesty. 6 months after the failed lawsuit, I proposed during a hike on the same Blue Hills Trail, where I had processed so much of my journey toward independence. Her yes represented a future built on healthy partnership rather than exploitation. My brother Jason, witnessing my stand against family patterns, began his own journey toward independence. Now in his final year of college, he consulted me about job applications and apartment hunting, determined to establish boundaries before patterns could entrench. I created new traditions with my chosen family, friends who supported growth rather than exploited success. Our holiday gatherings, weekend barbecues, and movie nights built connections based on genuine affection rather than obligation or advantage. 1 year after the lawsuit attempt, my home value had increased substantially again. The real estate experience had given me confidence to consider investment properties as a side business. More importantly, I had discovered that family is defined by respect and support, not DNA or proximity. My parents and I reached a fragile peace. They visit occasionally on my terms, their behavior modified by the knowledge that I will enforce boundaries when necessary. The forced independence that began with birthday betrayal ultimately gave me the greatest gift: authentic self-determination and the courage to define relationships on healthy terms. The journey from being homeless on my birthday to defending my home in court taught me that sometimes losing what you thought you needed leads to finding what you truly deserve. Respect autonomy and genuine connection with people who value you for yourself, not what you can provide. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who tried to take advantage of your success? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming family challenges and building independence. Share this video with someone who might need encouragement to establish healthy boundaries. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, you have the right to protect what you have built, even from those who claim family entitles them to the fruits of your labor.